This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia. Here is your host, Kevin Captain.
Good morning and welcome to Volusia Today. I'm Kevin Captain, the county's Community Information Director. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Volusia Today is made possible by our sponsors, the Daytona Beach International Airport, the Ocean Center, Volusia Recycles, and Votran Public Transportation. Today I'm joined by co-host Clayton Jackson with the Community Information Division. Good morning, Clayton.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. So last night we had a great event. It was an emergency permitting event. It was an open house that we called it in Daytona Beach Shores. We had several hundred people there. So on the heels of that, today's show is perfect to continue the discussion about assistance. And so we've got Alberto Pillot from the FEMA organization, and we've also got Monica Myles with the Small Business Administration with us on the show today. So that's going to be great.
Oh, absolutely. Again, the storms, while they may have passed, there's a lot of citizens out there who are still in need. So we're definitely wanting to get the word out there that, hey, assistance still is available. And also thank you to both FEMA and SBA, because originally the deadline to submit applications for both was November 28th, but for everybody's reference, that deadline has actually been extended to January 12th. So there is more time to submit assistance for everybody listening out there.
That's great, and that's a good point there too, Clayton. So speaking of the extension of the deadline that he mentioned to January 12th, Alberto, we've had 60-some thousand people in Volusia County apply for benefits and individual assistance under FEMA. But we were talking before, you believe that there's more people out there that could be eligible for this benefit. So tell us about that and how they can go about getting in to get that application process through.
Yes, thank you, and good morning to everyone. And I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to here at the radio station to get information to all the communities that were affected. And yes, there's pockets. There are always going to be pockets of people, and not in every disaster that I've been to, there's always pockets of survivors that we got to remember they leave the state. They're probably with family members out of state, and we want to make sure those pockets of people get that information, and when they come back to their property or the area that was affected, it's available for them to apply. So sometimes these flooded areas, families leave their relatives for a certain number of times until they probably apply with their insurance first, and once the insurance goes through, when they come back, and most likely that's why we want to make sure that those pockets of people can register. You can always call your insurance first, as that's what's recommended for homeowners. And by the time that paperwork, all that determination comes back, then most likely you could be able to apply with FEMA, because remember, we always encourage homeowners to also apply with FEMA just in case what the insurance does not cover. FEMA will look at that and may be eligible for more assistance.
Good point.
And tell us, how can somebody apply for FEMA assistance real quick?
Really quick, there's three ways to apply. Number one is always calling 1-800-621-3362. You could go on the online at disasterassistance.gov, or you could download the mobile app on your phone, and you could do it on your phone also, or go to one of the recovery centers right now that we have at the Florida Department of Health over there at 1845 Holstenbach Drive. So,
and for everybody out there listening, Alberto didn't even have to look down to read that telephone number. He was able to spit that off the top of his head. So I assume you've said that number a few times in your lifetime.
Oh, God, yeah. 1-800-621-3362. It's already engraved in my mind.
Well, and it's great to know, too, that it's as easy as using an app.
It's an app, too. Now, that's the way to go. The app is really simple to use. It gives you information of how to apply, where recovery centers are located, and it gives you information of the county or the state of any information that you need to know right away, such as evacuation routes, what's available, what are the shelters that are available. So it's a very unique app.
All right, and follow-up with that is people who may have applied, they may have received a denial email or a letter in the mail notifying that they did not qualify, or maybe they needed to submit additional documentation. If someone was to receive a denial notice from FEMA, what are the next steps? What should they do?
Right. So if you receive a letter from FEMA and it's a denial or a letter that wasn't to your standard or determination, that you can always appeal. You have 60 days from the time you receive that letter to make an appeal, handwritten appeal. If you need more dollars because of the construction or the repairs, always get estimates. We recommend estimates. Bring an estimate in. The recovery center is so important because you could follow your determination. They're there, local, there are FEMA representatives that are there, and they can look at your case specifically. A lot of people that get ineligible, I always say ineligible. I would never say denied, because there's always something that's missing in a letter or an application. Remember, once your insurance, once you submit your insurance, because we always recommend insurance, if you don't receive a letter back from your insurance saying if you are ineligible or what the insurance determined, most likely you will be denied until you bring that information back to the recovery center with FEMA, because we don't duplicate benefits. We want to see what benefits the homeowners already received before FEMA can make any determination about what you can be eligible. Remember, this is all based on eligibility.
Now, do they actually have to go to a disaster recovery center to file the appeal, or could they do it other ways?
They could do it other ways. They could call that 1-800-621-3362 and follow the instructions that the representatives can give them on the line. They could fax it, they could email the information. There's an address that they could send all the information to. But I recommend always the recovery center, because they'll do it right there and make sure it goes right through back to where it needs to go.
You know, one thing I would stress there too, Alberto, is the fact that what you just clarified, we probably shouldn't use the word denial, because sometimes you hear that from people, well, FEMA denied me. But like you mentioned, it's mostly a missing documentation.
It could be as simple as a document, a phone number, an address. It could be anything that could probably hold that application. The number one for me is insurance. People don't submit their insurance, and they go to the recovery center and says, I received a letter, I wasn't eligible, and then they look at their case, they had insurance. So most likely it's insurance. Sometimes it could be a duplicate application. It could be something very simple. That's why the recovery centers are so important.
So ineligible, not denial. I'm going to remember that. So the other thing I've heard from just talking with constituents in the public is that some people say, well, you're required to apply for the Small Business Administration first before you go FEMA, or some say FEMA before. It's great today that we've got Monica with the SBA with us, and so let's get this clarified right here and now. Where should someone go first?
If you had damages, I recommend go to FEMA right away.
Okay.
I always say that what makes you eligible is, number one, you're a declared county. Number two is you have to have damages. Number two, have damages. And that's the important thing. If you had damages, and it has to be primary residence. These are for homeowners and renters. So if you had damages, I recommend you to go to FEMA right away, register. If you're eligible, most likely sometimes you have to go to the SBA for an application that they will make that determination. But we recommend FEMA go first, or I guess my counterpart will let you know. If somebody goes to SBA, they probably recommend them to go to FEMA first.
Excellent. Well, we've definitely got a lot of good questions too for Monica as well.
And last night, as Kevin mentioned, we were at the emergency coastal permitting event, and we had some people say that their home was actually destroyed or received significant damage due to Hurricane Nicole. And as of the date of this radio show, the federal government has not yet declared Hurricane Nicole as a federal disaster. Therefore, both SBA and FEMA's assistance is only available to those who've been impacted by Hurricane Ian. But let's throw this scenario out there. Say, for example, a resident, they sustained damage. Not significant, but they sustained damage to their home or property as a result from Hurricane Ian. A month later, here comes Hurricane Nicole and causes significant damage, destroys their house. So, right now, is somebody eligible to apply for FEMA assistance, even though the significant damage was a result from Hurricane Nicole, but their property did sustain damage stemming from Hurricane Ian?
That's a good question, and my recommendation is always, if you had damage, apply, regardless. Let the system make that determination. Right now, Nicole has not been declared. I would imagine a lot of survivors have been taking photographs, probably making some kind of documentation, just in case if it does. But if you have damages from Ian and you decided not to do it, and then for some reason, once this declaration, if it happens, just document everything. Remember, once a survivor applies with FEMA, inspectors go out to these properties to inspect, and they do visual inspections. They're trained inspectors to see what kind of damages happen, and they'll make assessments on these damages. So my recommendation is always, if you had damages, to apply. I know some people probably did not. They felt they didn't have enough damage. They felt that probably my insurance would cover it, because I always call your insurance first, regardless. Let them make that determination before, and also apply with FEMA just in case, like I said, to fill that gap if any assistance from the insurance or any determination from the insurance was not covered in that process. So my recommendation is always apply, regardless if you have damages. If you have like little crack on the window, something that's probably you could, but if you sustain damages, I would recommend everybody to apply.
Well, and that's certainly good advice, Alberto. We were talking before about the fact that the Florida Division of Emergency Management has submitted all the paperwork and necessary metrics and data to the federal government with Hurricane Nicole. So we should be, to the date of today's radio show, we should be hearing hopefully any day now with Nicole being deemed a federal disaster.
Like I said,
Let's hope so.
Yeah. So if it has been, then like I said, right now our concentration is Ian. We want to make sure that Ian survivors get the benefit of all the information and of what's happening right now.
And speaking of Ian, you and your team have been here since Ian, and one of the biggest things that we've seen and experienced here in Volusia County is flooding. And you've been to the sites, you've had the strike teams that have gone out door to door. And what we've gleaned from this event is there are a lot of residents in Volusia County, but statewide throughout Florida, who don't have flood insurance. But FEMA offers that. Tell us a little bit about the importance of flood insurance.
Yes. Well, flood insurance, again, it's like I said, it was created by Congress in 1968 as a way of reducing the financial and human toll of flooding disasters in our nation. 40%, more than 40% of the people who flood are not even in flood zones. So there's a good webpage called floodsmart.gov. We recommend people want to go on there and look at your options. There's where you're located, what agents are in the area, and kind of get oriented about or get information about flood insurance. I mean, again, 40% of people that flood do not even live in flood zones. So it's really important just to, to protect your property. It's
Sure.
Like I say, it's all about risk. And one of the missions is of the National Flood Insurance is to educate American property owners about flood risk. That's one of the reasons. To provide flood insurance generally and available in private or insurance markets. The private industry got away from it in
Sure.
1968. That's why the federal government was stepped in for those events. So floodsmart.gov, good page to go to or to get orientation. There's a phone number. I had it right here that they could also call for those that need information on flood insurance. As soon as I get it here. Of all these papers I had here. But floodsmart.gov, there's a number you could call. It's 1-800 427-4661 if you have any questions.
Excellent. We're talking with Alberto Pillot with the FEMA organization. He's the External Affairs Officer. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Monica Myles with the Small Business Administration. Stay with us.
I'm Will Roberts, your Volusia County tax collector. When the annual property tax bill arrives in the mail, most people want to know how much they have to pay. It's all about the bottom line of the bill. That's where you'll find the amount due. You receive a discount the earlier you pay your taxes. The discounts and the due dates also are at the bottom of the bill. For example, if you pay in full in November, you get a 4% discount. There are two more important items on the bill. First, make sure all of your exemptions are listed. And finally, you may pay by phone, online, or by mail. If you're paying by check, make sure it's made payable to Will Roberts, Tax Collector. If you have questions, please visit our website at vctaxcollector.org. That's vctaxcollector.org. Or call us at 386-736-5938.
Volusia County is our home. And if we don't respect it, who will? Litter is definitely a problem, one that we can solve, but it's going to take all of us working together. Unfortunately, trash is littered on our roadside every day, but you can help clean up this messy eyesore. Did you know that Volusia County has an Adopt a Road program? We have residents, civic organizations, neighborhood groups, and churches, and you can all demonstrate community pride and help keep our roadways litter-free. Equipment for cleanup efforts is supplied, along with pickup and disposal of the trash collected. And an Adopt a Road sign will be placed at each end of the adopted section with your group or organization's name. There are still sections of the pristine Ormond Loop available for adoption. And even if you can't commit to an Adopt a Road, there are still ways to make an impact. While driving, secure your load. Don't throw cigarette butts or trash out the window. And if you see litter on the roadways, please report it. What matters is that we all do our part. Don't be a litter bug. And pick up litter when you see it, because every litter bit counts. And keep Volusia beautiful.
We're back. I'm Clayton Jackson along with Kevin Captain, and you're listening to Volusia Today, a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia. And on today's show, we have Monica Myles with the Small Business Administration. Good morning, Monica. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for inviting SBA to the table again.
Oh, absolutely. So it's been about a month and a half since you were last on.
Yes.
So we enjoyed you so much, we wanted to bring you back because we can't cover all what the SBA can offer in just one show.
Okay.
So, while you're on the show last time, you explained that SBA, Small Business Administration, that the loans are available to individual residents, not just businesses, even though that's a misconception the public may have. So just real briefly, explain that one more time to our listeners.
Yes, with respect to disaster loans, the U.S. Small Business Administration is able to lend funds to people affected by within a declared disaster area, being the homeowners, the renters, businesses large and small, and nonprofit organizations.
And Monica, we've been sort of uttering that to the public as much as possible, that SBA, even though the name small business, it's kind of a misnomer, if you will, because you provide services to, like you said, individuals, not just small businesses either, I mean large businesses, but also too, one thing that we gleaned last night from the emergency permitting event is that homeowners associations can also apply for an SBA loan, correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's my understanding in the state of Florida, all homeowner associations are supposed to be registered nonprofit organizations, so they would be able to apply as a nonprofit, and then the nonprofits get the lowest interest rate, which is 1.875% on their loans.
1.875.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, what does that process look like? Is there a credit check process, and what is the length of a loan like that with that interest rate, and does that interest rate, is that variable given the economic conditions in future years?
So far, we've just been told that particular interest rate, and actually for the nonprofits, it doesn't go up. For some of the other applicants, if the person or the business has a really excellent credit rating and they're really able to get credit in the open market, their interest rate can increase. They have the homeowners and the renters interest rate is 2.188%. That can actually double if they have excellent credit. And the same for business. The business rate is the highest, which is 3.04%, and that can double if they are really eligible to get a loan in the open market.
Right, and just kind of follow up on that, FEMA assistance, that is not a loan.
That is correct. It's a grant program.
Small Business Administration, this is a loan. So we want our listeners to be aware that if you're applying for assistance through the Small Business Administration, that this is it's a great long-term low interest, but it is a loan.
Yeah.
And there are pre-qualifications that somebody would have to meet in order to get a loan. Same thing if you wanted to go to your bank or private lender to get a loan. You have to have some type of adequate credit history to the standards of the SBA, as well as you have to have the means to repay the loan. Is that correct, Monica?
That's correct. And I guess our denial or ineligible situation is slightly different than from FEMA's, because most of the loans that are applications that are not approved by the SBA is a result of a financial reason. Either it's just not going to be affordable for the applicant, or their credit situation does not support them getting the loan.
What's the turnaround time after someone submits an application to the SBA? Is it quick?
Right. The first thing that it's dependent upon is if the applicant has submitted all their documentation.
Okay.
And
just like a FEMA application, right?
Yes, exactly, and that's what holds it up.
Sure.
And for a business, if they don't submit all of their documentation, my understanding is they're given about 7 days to submit additional documents. Then their application actually kind of goes into a closure state, and then they have to submit some further documentation in order to get it reactivated.
And in terms of damage, we were talking with Alberto before the show about if first of all, if someone's displaced and they don't have a place to live, FEMA's a great source initially, but downstream with not just property damage, but living expenses, miscellaneous expenses, even seawalls, right? I mean,
Yes.
the SBA loans, what do they all cover?
Yes, they cover, for the homeowner or the renter, it covers the personal property, up to $40,000. For the homeowner, it also covers rebuilding, reconstruction, replacement of the home, up to $200,000. And this is needs to be their primary residence,
Okay.
whether it's a house or a condominium, or they're living on a boat, if that's their primary residence, that's what the maximum would be. For a business, their loans are up to $2 million, and that includes all of their expenses. So that would be for the business personal property, for the structure itself, and for mitigation if they want to do that. The SBA also allows homeowners to apply for mitigation loans as well. And that would be an additional up to 20% based upon the property damage amount, up to $200,000.
Interesting.
That's excellent. So we've been talking a lot about property damage loans and so forth through the SBA.
Yeah.
But there's actually another type of loan out there for economic injury through the SBA. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, and that's available to businesses and nonprofit organizations in the affected disaster counties, and also to the adjacent counties as well that the FEMA has determined as well. They can apply for that. And with the respect to the economic injury disaster loans, that's covering day-to-day expenses of the business or the nonprofit organization, say to meet their payroll, to pay their rent, just continue to get supplies, as well as if they had to close for a week or two or however long as a result of the disaster, or their customers just weren't able to make it to their business, even though the business was open, and that they had lost income, they can apply for an economic injury loan.
And I was reading a little bit about this and just want to clarify this. Say I'm a business owner and my store did not receive any damage at all, physical damage from the storm.
Yeah.
Am I still able to apply for the economic injury loan?
If your customers were able to come to you, or perhaps if you didn't get inventory that you could then sell to your customers, if you were affected, you can apply, and the agency would make that determination.
And before we take our last break, Monica, what are the ways that people can apply for a small business loan?
Yes, if they want to submit a paper application, they can call the SBA at 1-800-659-2955, and the agency will mail out a paper application. They can go online at www.sba.gov/disaster and submit an application there. Both businesses, homeowners or renters, nonprofits can all submit it online, or they can go to one of the disaster centers. FEMA has disaster recovery centers, and then SBA has business recovery centers. And in Volusia County, there is, it's at the health department that you discussed earlier. And then also we have, if anybody's available tomorrow, we're having a pop-up event at a local church at Allen Chapel AME Church. That's located at 580 George W. Ingram Boulevard in Daytona Beach. So we're going to be there. It's just going to be SBA there between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. tomorrow, accepting applications.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Monica. We'll take our last break with Volusia Today and come back and wrap up the show. Stay with us.
I'm Will Roberts, your Volusia County tax collector. Paying your annual property taxes in one lump sum may not be easy for everyone. The good news is that you have another option. If it's easier for you to divide your tax bill into 4 quarterly payments, you should consider signing up for the quarterly installment plan, but you must sign up by April 30th. Once you are on the plan, your payments will be due in June, September, December, and March. We will send you a bill each quarter as a reminder to make a payment. Again, the deadline to sign up to pay in installments for the tax year is April 30th. The application to sign up and more information is on our website at vctaxcollector.org/taxes. That's vctaxcollector.org/taxes.
Volusia County is a beautiful place to live, but if
we don't respect it, who will?
Litter is a problem, one that we can solve.
But it's going to take all of us working together.
What matters is that we all do our part.
Don't be a litter bug.
And pick up litter whenever you see it.
Every litter bit counts.
Keep Volusia beautiful.
You can access Volusia County government online at volusia.org. Listen to county council meetings, pay for permits or tags, or search the property appraisers' databases. Volusia.org is your Volusia County government information resource.
Welcome back to Volusia Today. So today's show, we've got Alberto Pillot. He's the Assistant External Affairs Officer with FEMA, and we've also got Monica Myles. She's the Public Affairs Specialist with Small Business Administration. And Alberto and Monica, you guys have been here. Monica, I know you've been here since October, and I just think it's great to have people like you do what you do. You're traveling constantly. You're on the road. You're being deployed to these areas where there's disasters. You're out there helping people. There's something to be said about you leaving your own families, coming here to work. I mean, Alberto, you were saying you work minimum 6 days a week. You're all over the state of Florida because you're bilingual and you can do all of those things. It just amazes me the amount of hours that people probably don't realize you guys are working right now. And first of all, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Volusia County, but hopefully you've got some downtime here coming up with the holidays.
That's true, yeah, and I want to thank you as the Volusia County officials to let us come in talk to the community, because that's what's one of my missions. I like to inform and let everybody know what's going on. And one thing I advise is to never give up. I know sometimes there's a lot of information. I like to always counsel people and say, hey, there's always opportunity. Remember, FEMA isn't the only player in this. We have all other agencies that really come in to help, specifically to the Hispanic community, which they're very vulnerable, they're very quiet, sometimes they're afraid. And I would like to advocate for them and just try to get them out there, because they have the right to apply also.
Absolutely.
They have rights also, like everybody else. And I know Florida has a very large community of Hispanics within the areas that were affected. So if anybody knows of any Hispanic Latino that's listening at this moment, don't be afraid. There's always assistance. Never give up. Follow the instructions. Follow your determination. Follow everything that's recommended. Appeal your cases if you need to. Bring all the information that you need so that your situation can be handled in the best possible way. Remember, this is all based on eligibility and everything. So we just want to make sure that everybody gets the right information. I know recovering from disasters isn't probably one of the best things. I've been to Katrina, I've been to Harvey, I've been to Hurricane Ike, I've been to a lot of disasters.
Wow. And
disasters are very hard to recover. Think about the possibilities of these programs, the loan program. Why is the loan program such important in disasters? I always recommend apply for it even if you don't need it, because in the long run, it's just something that fills the gaps for the long-term recovery.
That's wonderful. And Monica, in our last half a minute, are you going to have any downtime yourself?
Yes, so I was able to go home for Thanksgiving, but this year I'll be celebrating Christmas at Disney World. So
you can't go wrong.
Well, that's great. Again, thank you both for doing what you do and for being here deployed in Volusia County to help our residents. With that, we'll close Volusia Today. Thanks for listening. Take care, stay safe, and help your neighbors.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information at 1-866-345-0345.